So let's go ahead and talk about margins, padding, alignment, and floating. As you can see at the top inside my styles, I've created a style for the body element. And what I've done is I've reset the margin to 0 pixels. And what you'll find out is if I take that out and there's no margin and I refresh it, you'll see there's a built-in very small amount of margin to the left of this browser, and it's Chrome in this browser. So if I add that margin in, it'll zero it out. And so that's what I'm doing with this margin up here at the top. I'm just basically declaring it as there's no extra margin in this document. And then below that, I have a div style that is set for all the divs in my body section. So you can see all the divs have this selector, and I'm using that selector in this style. So all of the divs will have these properties and values on the divs, and then each div that I've declared with an ID is going to have these specific properties and values to each specific piece. Now you can see right now all of them have a margin of 15, so technically I could put that margin in this main div if that's going to stay the same, and it wouldn't reflect anything different. So if I wanted to take that out, they are currently being used on all 4 of the divs. So so you can see if I refresh that, it won't change. But that's going to change in a minute, so we're just going to leave it on each of the divs individually, and you can see if I refresh it, it still is the same. So from there, I want to manipulate the margin size. Now, the margin is the area surrounding an element. So you can see margin is 15 here. If I wanted to, this is basically saying the margin on all the sides, left, top, right, bottom, they're all 15 pixels of space surrounding this div. It's the same with all of them. So you can see my div A1, this blue one, it's going to have 15 pixels on all sides of the document of this element, this div element. Same thing with the div number 2, and div number 3, and div number 4. There's 15 pixels surrounding each one. So there'd be 15 from the bottom of this one and from the top of div 2. So you can see that it's actually double 15, so it's 30. 30 pixels of space in between those two if you add 15 from the bottom of this top div and then 15 from the top of this red div. So that's this is a shorthand option for declaring all of them. If you want to do all of them together, you do 4 of them. So if you want to do top, it's the far left one, then right, then bottom, and then left. Now if I hit save, this is the blue div, you can see there is nothing on the left or the right side of these margins. So that's why it butts all the way up to the edge of this document. But I still have the top and bottom element to this div. So then I can come into this next one and give it it's top, right, bottom, left. That's the order. So this is 15 is top, right, let's say 45, then bottom, let's say 0, and left 40. Let's say 55 pixels. Save. Okay, so you can see at the top it's 15 pixels. At the bottom it's 0 pixels, but it didn't reformat that. Then we have at the left side we have 55, so there's more space there than there was before. If I go to div number 3 and I do top of 0 pixels, right of 10 pixels. See, obviously the right side isn't affected at all, so I can just do a 0 pixel right there. Right now it won't be affected at all because there's no divs or elements to the left or right of each of these divs. They're all just top to bottom. So top right, bottom, let's say 0, and then left, let's say 300 pixels. So this should be further than the width of our boxes, so it should be out here somewhere, this orange one. So we'll refresh it, and you can see it is past that blue one. Now, you can see once I declared this margin as 0, it butted straight up to this red div. So there's no space in between this red div and the orange div, and you can see that's because the margin for this A2 div at the bottom is 0, and the margin for this A3 div at the top is 0, so there should be 0 space, no space. And then at the bottom with div 4, I say top is 15, right is 0, bottom is 0, and left is 400 pixels.